Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Folks, they have every kind of boat you could ever want. Hurricane deck boats, Suncatcher pontoons, Godfrey aqua patio pontoons, Skeeter bass boats, every kind of G3 boat, whatever style you're thinking about. And here's the thing. If you want one type of boat, your wife wants another type, you don't have to go to two different dealers. They have so many different types of boats at Madisonville Marine. They're the only group that does this. It's one-stop shopping. You go down, you look at both the types, they talk to you about it, they try and find the right boat for you. Because when they do that, they know you're going to be happy and you're going to come back someday, 15, 20 years down the road. Madisonville Marine. All right, I want to welcome in the next member of our panel right down there from WNML. We have Josh Ward. Josh, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, John.
All right, I want to talk about three areas that, usually we do why they were stupid in this segment. I'm going to do why we were stupid. Because what we've heard the last couple of years, fans, media, we've all been involved in this, is that one, Jeremy Pruitt is a much better recruiter than Butch Jones was. Even though rankings-wise, Butch Jones was better in his first 3 years than Pruitt has been in his first 3 years. That's just 24/7's rankings. But we hear Pruitt's a better recruiter than Butch. And we've said, Pruitt is a better evaluator of talent. Never misses on guys. And Pruitt is a better developer of talent than Butch Jones ever was. Now, he may be. I'm not closing any doors right now, but I am going to say I'm not seeing it at this point. We say it, I hear it, not seeing it. So let me start. I'll start with Josh down here, and everybody can chime in. I'm going to give you the positions from Butch Jones' third team and compare them to the position groups of Jeremy Pruitt's third team. And you tell me which is better. Josh Dobbs versus Jarrett Garantano.
I'm going to go with Dobbs.
Yeah. Don't you want to think about that?
You got to be bold in this
just
segment,
because of his first name?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, they're still playing a Butch. Garantano was a Butch guy. So it's year 3, and they're still playing a Butch guy. All right, running back, Jimmy, Jalen Hurd, Alvin Kamara, and John Kelly as a backup versus Gray, Chandler, and question mark.
Butch Jones' third team. They're better.
Will Overstreet. Your receivers were Marquez North, Josh Malone, who's still in the league, Juwan Jennings, Josh Smith back then.
Yeah, I'm taking that group.
Okay. You get an easy one. Tight end was Ethan Wolf. And this year it's
No Wolf.
yeah.
Yeah, tight end.
Offensive line, Josh. Curbison, Robertson, Thomas, Wiseman, Kendrick, and Hall was the 6th man back there. This may be an area.
Yeah, that was not a bad group, but I would take this group.
Okay, so there's one position so far. Defensive line, Corey Vereen, Derek Barnett, Owen Williams, Kendall Vickers, still in the NFL.
Yeah, I would take that group over the one that they have right now. Barnett certainly tips the scales in that direction, so I would take that group.
Linebacker, you would look at and say, look at To'o. That's probably the best example of what Pruitt can do. But the linebacker core, that's To'o today and other guys, versus back then, Kirk Maggitt, Jalen Reeves-Maven, and Darren Kirkland Jr.
Yeah, I'm taking Maggitt and Mays-Raven over what we've got today.
All right, and the defensive backs, Emmanuel Mosley and Cam Sutton, both in the NFL. Brian Randolph, who used to be here, and LaDarrell McNeil versus this secondary.
I'd take that secondary.
Okay, so my question is, for all the talk of better recruiter, better evaluator, better developer, am I just missing it, or is it just not coming through yet? Because we're not seeing it yet. For all the jokes that have been made at Butch Jones' expense, when you go 4-8 and say some of the stuff he said, fair to joke, but a lot of it's been made through the lens of, but look what we've got now. Josh, I don't know what the great now is.
No, that's why the 2015 football team was, I think, a better football team than what we're seeing right now with Tennessee, and more competitive game in, game out. They had some disappointing losses. Could have beaten Florida, lost. Could have beaten Oklahoma, lost. But certainly didn't have a performance like we saw this weekend against Kentucky or against Georgia. That 2015 team, this entire team, by the way, has not played out the entire season, but that 15 team led in the fourth quarter against Alabama. I don't think that this team is going to lead in the upcoming fourth quarter against Alabama. So the results back up what we're saying here, position group by position group.
And let me go ahead and put up another group of graphics here that I jumped past. Just enjoy that title. Butch Jones versus Jeremy Pruitt. Now, Butch Jones was here 5 seasons, 61 games. Pruitt, 3 years, 29 games. You see their records. Butch Jones had 3 SEC losses by he had 7 SEC losses by 3 touchdowns or more. Pruitt's already had 10 of 29 games. You look at losses by 3 touchdowns or more overall, Butch Jones had 10. Jeremy Pruitt's already had more than that in half the games. Again, I'm not saying Butch Jones was a better coach than Jeremy Pruitt. That's not a defense of Butch Jones. What it is there too much pounding on the desk saying, wow, we're going in the right direction compared to where Butch Jones was?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, you look at the performance right now, you look at where you were seeing. I mean, the hope was this year you would see that team rise to the occasion to be the competitive team that you thought they could be to separate himself. But right now, you've had the last 2 games that said you've taken steps backwards. So you can't say we're seeing the separation, we're seeing the improvement, we're seeing the greatness. You keep hearing about it, but you're not seeing it.
Thoughts?
I can't argue with that. And in particular, it's been underscored by the last 2 games. The losing to Georgia like you did in the second half, getting blown out, the way Kentucky took care of you. It is hard to argue that. There are some players that I can look at under Jeremy Pruitt and say, yeah, Nigel Warrior got better, or Juwan Jennings, or some players got better, but maybe not enough. And so when you start to look at what they've done the last couple of weeks, it does make you wonder about, are those isolated player developments? Because collectively, when you look at this team right now, I mean, this team right now is not very good. Now, can they turn it around? They could turn it around last year to a certain degree. But right now, I'm not seeing the product I thought I would see on the field.
Well, another issue is if you go back to quarterback, it's a runaway, right? It's Dobbs versus Garantano. Obviously, Dobbs was better. Dobbs was signed and developed by Butch Jones and his staff. The quarterbacks that have been signed and developed by Jeremy Pruitt's staff are still playing behind Jerry Garantano, who's left over from Butch Jones.
We were texting yesterday, Josh, and I'm going to credit you. I gave you a full segment to say it on it, but you made the comment. I think most people looking at it, the best difference between Pruitt and Jones seems to be just that he's here now. That seems to be you give the edge to Pruitt because he's here, rather than anything real or tangible.
Right. You know how it ended up for Butch Jones, which was really bad, and with Jeremy Pruitt, a lot of it is hope that it won't go that same direction.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, we're going to bring in 2 more guys on the panel, and we're going to continue. I'm going to ask them. I want proof that things are going in the right direction. I want some proof that I'm not overreacting, because that's what we tend to do. It's what fans do. It's what media does, because we're catering to fans in a lot of ways, or ticking you off one way or the other. But there's always this, if you got an 8-game win streak, even though 4 of those wins were against Missouri and South Carolina, you got an 8-game win streak, your coach is a genius, and the program's on the right direction. You lose a couple of games, your coach is a fool, and the program sucks. The reality's somewhere in the middle. Where in the middle? That's what we're going to debate more next. Come on back on the Sports Source.